Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel for another video. Today I spoke on why the narcissist needs so much energy, and I wanted to dive into that a little bit more for you today. I wanted to take a deeper dive on the psychological side of it, so you understand why and how the narcissist affects you in a negative way to make you feel belittled and less than you really are. So let's jump in. So the narcissist, they always have to feed the false mask, and the false mask is used to convince, to promote something that they are not. It's a lie. They do this because there's nothing in here. Because of what they did when they assassinated their true self, or the false self, they now have to wear a mask because there's nothing but a lie. And in that control, when they come to you, they have to control you. You see, they can't be with somebody that outshines them. So in the early on stages, when they first meet you, they're already running a smear campaign on you. You could be in the love bomb phase. They're already running a smear campaign on you because they always have to have the one up, and they have to ensure themselves that they're always going to be in front, ahead. They're always going to be outshining everybody around them and all their supply sources, all their flying monkeys, their family, and everything. They are competitors, and they're competing to be the best liar, the best imitation, the best fake, the best false self. And to do that, they have to feed it. And to feed it, it has to have negative effects on everybody and everything around them. I talked about vibration. I talked about how your vibration is like your aura, and it all gets back to carnality and lust. When you are a true self, you want to love and you want to have freedom. And what you see from the narcissist is you see lies, lust instead of love. Instead of truth, you get lies. And instead of authenticity, you get falsity, the false mask. And instead of autonomy, which means independence, to be you, to do what you want to do, well, they have to control and have power over everything and have everybody else subservient to them. That's no way to live. And any criminal or any kind of criminal enterprise that you look into, anything either belittles people or keeps them down, affects them in a negative way, it's going to be the same spirit. It's going to be a very critical spirit, a self-righteous spirit, a judgmental spirit. It's going to be what the word would call the accuser of the brethren, meaning they're always accusing everybody and backbiting and lowering everybody else around them, their vibration, right? I'm talking to this in both a spiritual and a worldly view. I mean, a biblical and a worldly view, so that I can get everybody to understand, because I know that I have both out there. And I think if you're on my channel or you're listening to this, there's at least inklings. You've got to know that this is a spiritual situation. It's a psychological as well. But this is far deeper than just psychological. This is pure evil, y'all. And so to do this, they have to fake it, because they also, listen, they don't have anything good in them. The 9 fruits of the Spirit are gone, right? So right away, you're trying to always regulate them. Why? Because they're deregulated. And why are they deregulated? Because all of the good emotions they should have as a human, as in humanity, what we're all born with, they lack. And they don't lack it because they were born that way. They lack it because they chose this way. And they closed up certain areas of their brain that are unable to be reopened. And they put to death, in the same process, they put to death their innate self, their true self, their authentic, innate core. They sacrificed it to these entities and became this false self. And that's why they're nothing but a lie. And there's nothing good in them. And all they could do is evil. The only feelings that they really feel and are not afraid to show you is fear, hate, anger, and jealousy. Those are really the main core of who they are. When you are a lie, this is what comes with you. This is the same package. And what happened was they gave up their package of their innate self and for this false self. The innate self is their true self. Their false self is their lie. So they gave up who they authentically were, birthed by God, to entities to sacrifice it to this darkness, which is the fallen realm, which would be related to the fallen angels and Satan, to pick up the false self and become, if you're not authentic, you can only be a lie. If you are not the only one, then you're a carbon copy of the one, of a one, because they're always picking pieces of people, but there's nothing in here. And because of that, it has sacrificed their true self. That's why they are permanently possessed, because they cannot, you need your authentic true self to get saved. And what comes with that and what leaves with that, what's tethered to that is the 9 fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, kindness, goodness, gentleness, long-suffering, good self-control, and peace. All these things, these are the 9 fruits that are spoken of in the word, but we're all born with them on some sort of level. When you experience the Lord, you have the ability to elevate that. And even people that are of the world, they can experience even elevating those. But the narcissist gave all of that up. They gave their inside voice up, and it all was tethered. And that's why these parts, these frontal lobes, have been shut down on pets and MRIs. And that's why it says in the word that they have seared their heart and their mind and became reprobate and have nothing to do with them. And he said that because they only think evil in their heart always, continuously. And that's exactly how he described demons. So when it comes to the narcissist, they have to always be in control and power. They are always lying. They're always faking, and they're always false. And because of that, they're always evil. And with that becomes nothing but destruction. There's never any blessing in it. Even if they were to buy you things, and you would think that would be a gift of blessings, it's going to reap its reward of negativity. That's why you want to almost throw out everything they've given you. It's cursed. And the longer you have it, the longer and the more it will destroy you. It's almost as if everything they've given to you, which they can only give you things because there's nothing else in there to give. They're negative reciprocity completely. And you wonder why you have no energy. They are deregulated because they're lacking all of the goodness of energy. And what does evil do? Evil pulls down. It's a negative vibration. So if you're running at a negative vibration all the time, the only thing that can pick you up is goodness, you see. And the only thing that can regulate you is tons of goodness that people are throwing your way. So they have to go out and steal it. And they want to steal as much as they can because it will regulate them. It will empower them. And it will give them, this false self will look like it's real, authentic. Okay? But it's still a lie. It'll just be more seducing, more seductive. It'll have more charm. It'll be more empowered by those things. It's almost like the closer you get to God, the more you allow him to work through you and use you, right? And humble yourself. The more you humble yourself, the greater God can be in you and use you as a vessel for his goodness. Well, this is the deal. The more fuel that they gain from sucking it off, different forms and sources of supply that go into covenant contract and consent with them and give it up, whether it's known or unbeknownst, it's because of decision making. And the more you know and the greater you are in seeking out truth, the greater, and that's why these things have been peeled back for you to be able to see, because you have spent time now dissecting this, and you had gotten to a point to where you got enough truth in you to where you were able, God allowed you to see. It's a level up. But now but when you do see, you need to walk away and grow. And you grow by getting more free in the things of goodness and godliness. They're stuck. They can't, all they can do is steal it now because they shut it down completely. You can't open it back up. You need your innate core spirit to save your soul, which is your mind, will, and emotions. And you need the Holy Ghost. So let's jump into this. The narcissist, they start running a smear campaign right away, right? Even during the love bomb phase. It'll be little smears here and there about you to friends, family, and coworkers, to flying monkeys. And they will give you a pet name and just things to make you less than. The narcissist comes in your life to make everybody less than, to everybody. Everybody has to be less than. Anybody that they're friends with, cohorts with, flying monkeys that are around them, family, anybody they associate with has to be lesser than them. They cannot take more shine than them. They have to be at the top. That's why each one of them pretty much gets their own little coven. And if anything, they will meet here in the middle, and they will agree to meet like that as flying monkeys for each other. But that will never go like this with some of those. And they will keep it to a distance enough to where it won't interfere, almost like they're associates. They're not really friends. That's why they say they come in wolf packs as well. So they're smearing you and always running character assassinations on you by taking partial truths about you and making them really negative, or not telling the whole story, lying by omission about you. They also will manipulate your life to make you look like you are an unlikable person. They will spread rumors about you so that things kind of get out here and there. And then when they get back to you, it affects you because you're already knocked down by them tapping into your energy field and draining you already. See, the more confusion that the narcissist puts into your life and brings into your life, the more they're going to get you off kilter, because we're used to truth and justice, and especially us. When you leave a narcissistic family, you hate injustices and you hate maladapting and all of that. And that's the reason why people call you like the chosen one, because you got to a point to where you chose that you had enough. So I'm just passionate about this, but they will spread rumors about you. They will do things to shape and mold you into what they want you to be. You understand? They have a false opinion of you that they've created, and they've done that so that they can always shine above you and get you to believe a lower image of who you really are when you're with them. Okay? They'll put little ideas into your head and into people's heads as well. It's not true at all. They'll set up little scenarios so that you appear like someone who is unlikable. They will do these types of things, and when you get to a certain low level, it's very easy to do because you're very susceptible. Like I said, you're susceptible to witchcraft, and they are inherently the embodiment of witches and warlocks. At the point of what they're dealing with and what's inside them, they operate with precision when it comes to witchcraft. They're the epitome of it. They don't need to be trained and taught, although they even learn to get caught up in the dark arts on top of it, as far as incantations, spells, and different things, tampering with your food and items in your house and making things disappear so you feel like you're crazy when you can't find something just for no reason. They'll do sex magic on you to manifest all kinds of things, y'all. This is real world stuff. And if you would have told me this years ago, I wouldn't have believed it. They try to make you look like a type of person that's unlikable and somebody the people around them should avoid. And this is all setting up so whenever they leave, they can play the victim, or they can have you reverse discard them. So they can say that they were abused and then they were discarded. You broke up with them because they forced it upon you. They put so much stress and pressure and evil into your life and drained you so hard. These people don't know that. They'll never get that. And the people that they speak with and talk with, they're just like them. That's why I said most of the time when they get primary source supply, it's outside the norm, y'all. It's them elevating always. They don't get better than you. Generally speaking, they don't, unless they have a lot of reach and a lot of money where they can get supplies like that on a regular basis, because their personality ain't getting it for them. But this is all part of the smear campaign. This is part of the character assassination that they do on a regular basis. They'll set up scenarios where you feel a little bit insecure. They'll try to play on your weaknesses. You see, they got you set up to fail from day one. They're always forming opinions, thoughts, scenarios against you to defeat you. They're not in a relationship to succeed with you. They're in competition to steal from you, to devour you, to destroy you, to suck off you, and to leave you energetically no more. And on one hand, they're trying to convince other people that you're a person to avoid and that's unlikable. You're also undesirable. You're going to be undesirable in some sort of way, however that they deliver that message. And whoever you're with, male or female, the cluster B personality types, how about that? They're going to be trying to put in your head, you're not desirable either. You're too weird or you're not good enough. They'll play on your insecurities. They play on these aspects that you may not like about yourself, or you're working on these areas of your life. And they'll take these weaknesses that maybe you've allowed them to see or that they've seen because they've been around you, and they will play on them. And they will use them against you, to where if you care about somebody, you're not going to do that. You're going to protect them. You're going to back them up, and you're going to promote the good things about that individual. But they don't do that. In fact, they actually add lies to that. And what they're trying to do is what we always say, malleable, right? They make you malleable. They can bang you into shape. They can mold you into shape. That's what they do. They want to shape you and mold you to the identity they have placed in their head about you, who they want you to be, the failed you. They have this image that they want you to be lower than them, lower class, subservient, you see? They always talk about you being subservient, lower class, they're the god, and you got to pamper them. That's because they get this image in their head, and that's what they try to mold you into. And a lot of times it works, especially for the unawoke ones. And the narcissist has this false self, this false image. A false self is just a false image. It means whenever you're around the narcissist, the cluster B type, the person that was what you call your love partner, they have to always outshine you. They cannot have you looking better than them, and you can't ever be a superstar. You can't ever get your time to shine. And other people really, they don't want them to ever see you shine and really feel you, get to know you for truly who you are. They clamp all of that down. They stress you out, and they get you anxious and paranoid, and all of that makes you draw in. It suppresses. You see, they isolate. They isolate you in your house all alone, and they get you to suppress all of your emotions because they don't want you to be authentic. And they're stealing your authenticity off of you when you're cramping down. And then they're projecting themselves onto you as you give up your fuel to them, your good, glorious fuel that you've been working so hard, your blessings. You're just handing it right over to them. And you're sacrificing yourself. That's what you're doing. You're doing the same thing that happened to them, except it's not to the level of this damnation that they've put themselves under. Because you can't become to the evil that they have. You would have already done it by now. But you can look a lot like them, and they can utterly destroy you if you start to believe them and listen to them and obey them, really. Because you're not dealing with them. So don't feel like, oh, you are weak and not so smart and you let yourself be used and abused. This is spiritual, y'all. These entities that are running that ship, you're probably not even talking to the narcissist anymore. These are from way back when, y'all, from a different dimension, a fallen dimension, a dimension that if you know the Lord will have no effect. It won't have an effect on you like it has been if you operate correctly. Anybody around them to see who you truly are, because that's how they keep you down. They got to keep everybody down, but especially you. They cannot have that. They cannot be challenged. That challenges the false self. The idea that they have about you, who you are and who they created, is not a benefit to you. It's not a desirable person that you originally thought you were. And maybe if you did, you need to heal it, because you've been dealing with also your family who was creating these messes. So what you need to do a lot of times is build good boundaries and sometimes isolate for a time in a good way if you can. But during that rumination period, you want to find a couple of good people and, kind of spend a little time out and about trying to switch up your energy. But after you get off that rumination, get passionate about you, who you're becoming. Now that you know what you know, I don't want to say the better version. I hate to use that really. I slip and say it sometimes because that seems fake. You want to just be, you'll be more authentically you. And the more authentically you are, truly authentically, you should end up getting closer to the Almighty. They can't be challenged, and the idea they have about you doesn't benefit you. And are you that? That's my question to you. Are you that? Somebody asked, well, if I've been away from my ex since 1996, can they still have an effect on me? And my response to that is yes. This is why I made this video. If you believe the image that your ex molded you into, depending on how much you believe it and how much you became it, those are curses that they've been over and over throwing at you day after day, and they've been making you malleable, and you've been absorbing it, and you got to stop and you got to reassess who you are. Forget all the noise. You got to become you. And when you make mistakes, you pick up the pieces and you move on, but don't continue to second guess yourself, quadruple, and get validation from other people. You get it from yourself, and you'll fail and you'll get back up, and that's where you get more and more independence and empower yourself. And you can't help others if you can't empower yourself first and love yourself first, right? And I have this little statement here, makes me think of, you can't give your heart to someone who isn't ready. And that's the thing. You can't do very much good either if your heart and your mind not in tune with health, spiritual health and psychological health and some sort of physical health. All of that plays into this. But the narcissists, they build these smear campaigns, these character assassinations, and they mold this image of you. And they put this portrayal out on you, and they do it to everybody to some degree, but especially you, because they can't be outsmarted, outdone, one-upped, or outshined. They must rule at the end of the day. They consistently will smear you up, and they will character assassinate you time after time after time. That's why you want to get away from them. Block them, leave them, because even if you're not listening to them and you're not absorbing any of their energy, which you can't help it, to some degree, if you're around negative energy all the time, you're going to absorb some of it, even if you got your guard up. That's why you have to leave them. They're also out there destroying you on a daily basis, you see, and it does affect you the way others feel about and think about you. But most of the time, it's going to be some other evildoers that they're hanging out with that don't have any truth in them either. So you're not going to want to associate with any of them either. It's basically they're setting you up. They target their prey. That's what they say, right? And that's what you are. You're their number one target of prey to feed off. When you go down, they come up. That's how it works in all ways. And you lose fuel and they gain it. They make you look unappealing to others. They make others think of you less than. And everybody that's around them, they make all others around them look less than the narcissist or the cluster B personality type. They have to be the winner all the time. They're in competition, and that's it. It's always to ensure that they're going to be on top. See, that's why they always have to smear and character assassinate here and there and nitpick, and they won't let you even shine for a minute. And then on top of that, they're stealing your traits. They're mimicking and hijacking your identity. They're tapping into your aura, and you're allowing it. That's why, because you're a mirror of the company you keep. It's the company you keep, because the company you keep is where you consent, you make covenant, and you contract, and that's on you. These are laws that God put into the foundations of this world system, and it's encoded all throughout the word, all of this stuff. But a lot of times we don't want to read it because we've seen all these fools that are supposed to be acting like the church, and they're not the church. So we feel like the church and God and Christ has no power. That's all a lie. He's everything in this world. And don't be fooled. A lot of those people that look like the church out there are not Christ's true church. But they have to ensure that their false image is not denied. And the different roles that they play are the saint, the martyr, the savior, the victim, or the villain. They don't care. Depending on what they're going to do, they got to be the best. They're going to look like a saint, of course, or a martyr, right? The victim, right? They got to look like the savior. That's where they play the hero. or the villain. They put so much fear in you that you collapse. That's the villain. That's Leviathan. Okay? This is how they keep the false self alive and thriving, by preying on other people. They feed off your energy field. You, the primary source, and the secondary source mainly. They do this so that they ensure that they're going to have enough energy to thrive on and prey on as many people in their lifetime as they can. That's the goal, really. They feed on you and then a secondary source supply, and then they move on, y'all, to another source, and then they come back, right back around, and they beat you down some more, make you believe more. In the beginning, you weren't believing it, thought it was bull. You'd hear it and be like, yeah, whatever. But after a while, it starts to brainwash you, because you got to back them up, you got to listen to them, and the more you listen to, the more garbage that comes in here, it starts to get in here. And it makes you unbalanced. And in that imbalance, you get confused. And when you get confused, you get hijacked. And when you get hijacked, your whole world collapses in on you. And then you lose hope and faith. And then you doubt God. But you're better than that. So they lack their own energy. They cannot emotionally regulate, and that means that they lack their own energy. They don't have enough energy. They don't generate enough energy on their own to sustain them in order for them to be okay with their self. Why? Because they sacrifice their true self, and the 9 fruits of the Spirit they cannot generate anymore, and those are the high-vibing, generating emotions. Those are the healing properties. Those are the properties that you invest in, that you put stock in, that you live for, and that's what gives you hope and faith for your future and belief in God. Without those, you're nothing, y'all. And what's the first one? Love. And the greatest of these is love, y'all. Because you can have faith and hope, but if Christ didn't love us like he did and didn't, go die on the cross for us, it wouldn't matter how much hope and faith you have, because you wouldn't even be in existence. Because if you didn't have enough love to do that, what's faith and what's hope? And what's it in? A sham. It would be a sham. So they lack their own energy to sustain them, for them to feel any bit comfortable, because they're a complete falsehood. So they have to tap into other people's energy fields, and they need to siphon it from them. And the only way they can do it is through manipulation and confusion, to knock you off kilter and to get you convinced that you're not who you were meant to be, but who they made of you. The image, the false self, the mask. They always build it, and they build the image of you and mold you into someone who will never shine above them, and each target must fail. They can never be on top. They can never shine. And if they do, they can't bear it. They cannot support it. They will not. They downplay it. And so that's what I want to get to you today. If you can give me a like, subscription, and a thumbs up, love y'all. And until next time, soldier up, y'all. Peace, we out.